talking about the Eskom black hole load shedding and impact survey by NEASA. Let me get the pronunciation correctly. The National Employers Association of South Africa, represented today by Gerhard Papenfus, Chief Executive Officer out in Pretoria at this moment in time. You're targeting business owners specifically. Can it be extended more generally?
Well, we want to know how it impacts business. It is what is happening in the market when it affects business, it will affect employees, and when it affects employees, it affects 10, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 other people. You get questions from employers. What do we do? You read things for business which says, I cannot reduce my staff because what I have is now the bare minimum. The next step is closing my business. So it is, on the one hand, we need to encourage business. Sometimes, people say, a person might say it's the end of the road, but it might not be the end of the road. Sometimes you stop doing something because you think that's the end of the road, but it is not. It is just going on. We've got to get through this. I mean, we can't stop living, and we can't stop. South Africa and the world is going to continue even beyond this crisis. So we have to find a way, and we need to establish what people need and see what we can offer in terms of making a plan. What solutions can we present to business? And we're working very hard on that. So at least we know what is the problem that people experience. Now, what we need to do, we need to bring affordable solutions to business. So apart from asking what do you do, it is how can we help? And now I can't say today what we're going to do to help because it's too early, but we're working very hard on that. We need to bring solutions, and we need to encourage, but we need to establish exactly what people are experiencing. Now, one of the reasons we do this is, it is if you read the survey and the questions are answered and people don't have not only ticking boxes, then you realize the anger about this thing. And it's good for him to air their anger because at least somebody is listening. And that's part of it's important. So what we're doing here is quite important for us in understanding. We need to communicate, constantly communicate. We need to bring solutions, and we need to play a part in the solution. Eskom and government must do something about it. They say they are doing something about it, and we must give them a benefit of the doubt. But we cannot sit back for one moment and think, okay, they're going to do something. The private sector will play an important role in bringing the solution in all of this. And everybody, and I mean even people with limited resources, can make a contribution towards this thing in bringing a solution. We must never stop making plans. Yeah. And staying in touch with your constituency, asking, they tell you, you go back, you give solutions, and sometimes just encouragement and must play a role, but we need to communicate. We've got to go through this. This is a very, very dangerous point in our history.
Absolutely.
I mean, that can actually be a tipping point.
Absolutely.
If you see what has happened in places in the world in the history where the French Revolution started with the price of bread. We don't want to talk about the revolutions, but I mean, when people run out of food, then you have a problem.
And I think the responses from government is a lot like Marie Antoinette's response: give them cake. But let's take a listen to a voice note. Can we take a listen to that voice note? Let's take a listen.
Good morning, Clarence. Ian here from a company called Paymaster. We own an office in a complex and we share a generator. And the diesel costs us 15,000 Rand a month to keep our lights on. And I've worked out that if I use that 15,000 Rand a month for marketing, I can increase my turnover and my net profit by about R1 million a year. So instead of using the money for marketing, I'm now using the money for diesel. And in effect, it's costing me almost R1 million a year just to keep my business going. Ian Hurst from Paymaster.
It's those kind of realities. You got to go back to the drawing board. In this particular instance, it's 15,000 rand for diesel a month, which would have gone into marketing that would have given more revenue and more and more profit. These are the things that business owners are thinking about all the time. Gerhard Papenfus is the the chief executive at the National Employers Association of South Africa. Your response, Gerhard?
Well, that's exactly that. So, all mitigating factors here, mitigating factors, what companies introduce cost money. It is the second best and third best. It is not the answer. What we need for economic growth is to have your lights on 24 hours a day, and you need cheap power. That is so important for economic growth. Cheap power, and we have the resources which just bugger us up. I must just mention something else in regard to manufacturing. If you have 6 hours load shedding, or let's say a company is not manufacturing 24 hours. Let's say they do it for 9 hours a day. But you have 2 breaks of 2 hours in that 9 hours. That's 4 hours. But it is not 4 hours. The time, a reasonable time period before the power goes off, then you need to switch off your
machines.
Machines. For instance, if you've got a bakery, you can't put a new
your ovens need to warm up. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you can't just put it in the oven and then the power goes off.
Exactly.
So you need to work out, I'm not going to finish with this particular bunch, if you call it that. And if you're not finished, you stop. Then you put it off, and when the power goes on, you need to switch it on.
It's a new production plan, Gerhard, that you're talking about. And given the vagaries of the schedule, the load shedding schedule, it's a production plan nearly for every day.
Actually, exactly. So you can't tell your staff, listen, from tomorrow you come in at 12.
Yeah.
They come in at 8, at 9, the power goes off. That goes on at 11, it goes on off at 2.
I was hoping you were going to talk about class action, but since you put it very succinctly, that's going to come back to bite us, small business owners. Let's look at the role of SARS, or the role that SARS can play, given the kind of challenges besetting businesses. It's a WhatsApp, if you don't mind listening, Gerhard. It's a voice note. Let's take a listen.
Hi Clarence, Alistair. It would be also good for you, I think, to get SARS on there to find them also what relief businesses are getting. So I'm in the manufacturing business, and the problem we have is because we're not being able to finish jobs, we still got to, we're obviously not getting the money in, but you still got to pay your employees at the end of every week or month. I made a decision during December to rather pay my staff than pay SARS, and I'm getting obviously all sorts of threats from SARS and everything. And that's a difficult part.
Absolutely.
There seems to be no relief plan for small businesses. So I think it would be great if you could have SARS on as well to see what role they can play in giving us some sort of relief during this.
I think that is such an important point that gentleman is making. Unfortunately, he didn't give us his name. Gerhard Papenfus, can't SARS bring some relief? And then I also want to touch on, I've read an article on your website about the question raised by that caller as well. Your responsibility to your employee, given that because of load shedding, they can't work the hours that they are required to work. Gerhard, do you want to respond?
Let's deal with the SARS thing first. I was just thinking while he was talking about 3 things actually. The one is, the state doesn't have money. I mean, I read an article yesterday of Minister of Finance considering raising personal taxes. Now, I think he's in dangerous territory if we pay more taxes. So the government needs money. Now, how do you help? I don't know whether they can. The second thing is what other assistance is there? I'm thinking about the previous caller about the diesel. People in the transport industry get diesel rebates, but that is when you buy diesel at a very large scale. Now people are paying for diesel to keep the generators going. So we must start looking at the rebates that benefit going to each and every person that's buying diesel to keep his generator going. And I think there's tax benefits for companies that introduce solar introduce solar. I think that tax benefit must be extended to private households as well. Okay, let's come to the point of protecting your employee. When your employee tenders his or her service, and I'm talking labor law now, then you must pay that person for the period that is on your premises, even if he doesn't work. But employers have said, but that is impractical. I agree. You can do it if there's interruption, from time to time, but you can't do it if you lose 4 hours a day or 9 hours a day if you work 24 hours. But there's a legal process that you need to follow when you want to change that. But in this regard, I just want to say something. Employers, entrepreneurs, and I'm talking about good employers and good entrepreneurs, and 90% are there because that's what they want to be. They want to be employers and good entrepreneurs, or entrepreneurs and good employers. They don't want to prejudice their employees. I mean, that is when you see that people, how they struggle, and now you must reduce your salaries. Their salaries. That's terrible for business to do that. That is absolutely terrible for business to do that. So that is a last resort. But when there's no alternative, well, then you have to do it, because at the end of the day, you must keep your business sustainable, because if you lose your business, that's the end of it.
Yeah, so you say it's the last resort if it's necessary. However, it is necessary. Yeah. But I think it doesn't have to be like a kragdadige approach. It can be in conversation, reaching that kind of conclusion with your employee body. Is it not?
Well, of course, they see what's happening.
Yes.
I mean, they see what. You're talking about farmers. You're talking about their employees, and they say. I mean, there's farmers at the moment where they do irrigation on a very large scale. I'm talking about farmers in the Northern Cape. I mean, there they irrigate huge crops, and where it took them 12 hours to irrigate their land, it's now taking them 50 hours.
Yeah.
And their crops are perishing. And the employee says they can lose their jobs. What I'm trying to say is when you talk to your employees, they understand.
Absolutely.
Well,
talk to them.
It's not as if you surprise them with something. And I think with the employer, with the employees must work out something, because the employees are reasonable in this regard.
Gerhard Papenfus of NEASA, the CEO. Just tell us where we can find a link to this particular survey that you're conducting.
It is on Facebook, and I've just been told that it is reposted, so it's right on top on Facebook.
Is it your NEASA Facebook page?
Yeah, that's right. And if somebody can't find it there or on our website, then just send email to info@NEASA, and they send in the survey.
NEASA is NEASA. NEASA. It stands for the National Employers Association of South Africa. Gerhard Papenfus, the Chief Executive. Thank you for your time and your insights. It's appreciated. And maybe we can look at those research results when they are available to see exactly how businesses have been impacted. It is 10:31, time for Eyewitness News headlines. Graham.